What happens to oxygen when it enters the body? The air first enters the body through the nasal or oral cavity. From this, the air then moves down to the pharynx and then to the larynx, also known as the vocal box. From the larynx or vocal box, the air then moves down a last tube called the trachea to reach the bronchus. There is a right bronchus and a left bronchus that go to the left lung and the right lung. From these go to the bronchi. The bronchi then send the air into smaller tubes called bronchioles. The bronchioles finally reach the alveoli, or small air sacs that hold the oxygen. Once the air has traveled through the bronchioli, it then goes to the alveoli. It is then met by the capillaries, and the oxygen from the air diffuses into the capillaries, and the capillaries then carry it on to the venules. Venules are the next largest tube from the capillaries in the circulatory system. The venules then send the air to the veins. For the last step of the oxygen to get to the heart, it has to go through the pulmonary veins. Once the oxygen has traveled through the pulmonary veins, they then enter the left atrium. To get to the left ventricle, the left atrioventricular valve, or bicuspid valve, must open, allowing the blood to go through. The left ventricle then pushes the blood up through the aortic valve and to the aorta. The aorta then disperses the blood through the body using arteries, arterioles, and then capillaries. Because the aorta is so large, it cannot deliver the oxygen directly to the cells. It must first go to an artery, then a smaller branch called the arteriole, and then the smallest branch called a capillary. These capillaries deliver the oxygen directly to the body cells. Once the oxygen is delivered to a cell, it then combines with glucose to create CO2, or carbon dioxide, ATP, or the cell's energy source, and H2O, or water. Once the oxygen is used and CO2, ATP, and H2O are left, the ATP is used by the cell for energy, the H2O gets sent to the kidneys to be urinated out, and the CO2 diffuses back into the capillaries. The capillaries then send this deoxygenated blood to the venules and then to the veins. The veins then send this deoxygenated blood to the superior and inferior vena cava, coming from the upper part of the body, superior, and the lower part of the body, inferior vena cava. This deoxygenated blood then enters the right atrium. From the right atrium, the deoxygenated blood then goes through the right atrioventricular valve, or the tricuspid valve, down to the right ventricle, where it is then pushed up to the pulmonary valve and sent to the pulmonary artery. This pulmonary artery then sends the deoxygenated blood to the lungs to have the cycle repeat again and reoxygenate the blood. This process continues with reoxygenating the blood using respiration and deoxygenating the blood using circulation. The end.